Hey guys, welcome to our review of Kamen Rider 01, episode 41. As always, I'm your host, Stratos. Here with me today we have
The Cinder Blaze.
my dude. Welcome back. But before we get started, just wanted to remind you that there are still links in the description down below to how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement by signing petitions, donating money, whatever you do, as long as you do it, it absolutely helps. But with that said, let's hop into our thoughts about this episode and then your guys' thoughts toward the end. But like I said, our thoughts. I thought it was pretty good. Like the what is it? The preview really soured my opinion, but the episode itself really good. Actually, like the end chunk, like that very end chunk, got me a little sour, but I like how everything came to this really nice crescendo. Like we finally get the payoff of Hirobi. Like really switching sides. We knew that from the preview. But it was nice to see that slow progression here come to a head.
I feel like Hirobi didn't switch sides. I feel like that was the arc. Because he's just been on the same thing. I'm just going to eliminate humanity and let human gears have their future, without...
Well, in a way, because like he's been going off of the will of the arc the whole time, right? But now he's switched sides to himself. And while it is still sort of, well, very much genocidal, you sort of feel for he's saying, or at least in a misguided sense, he makes, he knows he's right. You know what I mean? And you could definitely tell that, and like he has purpose now. And it's not just the will of the arc, it's his will. And now he's fighting for himself. So there are legitimate stakes to it. And I do appreciate it. It just feels like something that I would like to leave for like an offshoot or a spin-off, not necessarily the end game, but my opinion about it can change depending on how they do it, just because there are 4 episodes left. There's a whole month of this left.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like we can probably end it pretty neatly in 4 episodes. I feel like we have just the right amount of gas in tank for like 3 to 4 episodes.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
Like, to be honest, so I'm really glad with like the kind of pacing they did here. I guess, yeah, like Hirobi was technically on the arc side because like he was just basically controlling all the human gears basically, except for Jin, who was kind of like trying to constantly backstab the arc, and like the arc's always kind of like 3 steps ahead of him, and poor Jin, he's trying his hardest. But he's able to calculate all of those moves. But oh man, I don't think that the arc was really calculating like the human gears turning on him like this bad, because like he kind of lost them all at a certain point.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the satellite Zaya being the weakness and like, establishing that to begin with, and Zaya's influence is just propagating throughout the rest of, I guess, the cast. Or once again, she knocked things so she tipped the scales in her favor enough to where they're going to make it out of this against the arc. But who knows if she's planned for Hirobi,
Yeah. I think that the arc was kind of like relying solely on his power, whereas like 01's kind of just been like getting help from basically everyone. And I think like because he's able to do that, it just forced the arc to kind of like turn to power in a way that would just like isolate him from everyone. And I think like when Hirobi's last kind of straw broke, when he's just like telling him to kill like Jin, it was like, man, like his entire like being is almost to kind of like preserve the human gear especially Jin. Like he doesn't
Right.
even think about like that's like the first time he defied the arc, probably. Like I think we can assume was to defend Jin from like dying.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he really calculated that he would be revived. I don't even honestly it's been so long and I'm pretty sure it happened during the Thousand arc that I completely forgot how he kinda came back. But I kinda like how it went full circle with like him saving Jin was the thing that kinda like snapped him and kinda like
Right.
showed what his true self was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like really good thing. And we even got the rest of Metsubo Jinrai getting back into the field. I mean, Naki didn't do anything.
Naki
They just
hasn't done anything.
I
Like
know.
it's I think after that first instance with like Fua just to mess with him, but like I think Fua was basically cured at that point. He just didn't care.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like why is she there? Like or why is Naki there? Maybe that's like the point of it all. Like she's sorry, Naki's like so useless that they have to find their own purpose. Like there's
Right. And like the thing is, um going back to Fua and at least wanting to find that purpose, right? Is is at least showing their steps to becoming sentient or wanting that,
yeah.
And I think it was really nice that they showed up to Fua and tried to ask for it. And in a similar thing, we have Ikazuchi going back into space to help his brother, which was
Yeah.
very nice because I really liked the subplot with those two. And I know that you guys didn't really like you you weren't really buying it when he came back because it's like he's a one-off character, but I really liked him. He was one of my favorites. So um it was nice to see him working on the side of good. Like it goes back to the few episodes ago where I was saying, man, I am so glad he wasn't just tricking them. I'm so glad he is genuinely back. And we get to see that here. I'm happy.
Yeah, and like the way he kind of did turn on the arc, like he goes up to the very satellite that he's been kind of hiding out in, and then destroys it. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
because like that's his job, maintaining the satellite. So a lot
Hmm.
of like I'm actually surprised like how everything kind of like comes back around, kind of relates to one another.
Hmm.
Maybe I've been watching way too many writer series where they kind of like flub at the end. So seeing this kind of make me a little giddy.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's at least some finality to it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Anyway, do you have anything else before we dive into the comments?
Fight was pretty neat. I just kind of wish Roby got the last hit because his last hit is easily the best in the series.
Yeah. Do we want to talk a little bit about the preview?
I guess we have to because it shows freaking everything. Like
Yeah,
it was
no.
like
So
way
if
too
you, I
prominent
mean,
of a
if
preview.
you somehow didn't watch the preview, now's the time to get out. But like, I'm sure everyone did. And if you haven't, you've already been spoiled. So why they do this with character deaths? They did this with um Greece's death,
Yeah.
however many years ago. I don't know why they do this though. Like, here's the thing: there's a discussion to be had about. Well, we didn't feel Greece's death any less, you know.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure with like Izu and Aruto, like those two are pretty good at evoking emotions out of me. So
Right.
speaking of which, that one bit at the very beginning of the episode where they kind of like making that joke, who was like cracking up in the
Oh,
foreground and
oh
that
yeah.
explosion at the very back. Holy crap, that was one of the best gags in the series.
Absolutely.
The best executed, I would say.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. All right. Let's hop into some comments. First two come from Double the Unknown. who says, "This writer really loves to resurrect the final boss, huh?" Yeah. It's hard for me to really see a point in bringing back the arc after this episode because Hirobi found his purpose as a villain. Is it arc or is it? Oh, Alex, how much do you know about the next form?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I don't
I mean,
mind
like,
anymore. Like,
you know who the character? We saw it in the.
oh no, I don't know anything about the new form at all.
But you know that it's there, right? You know that it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I don't know who it is or what it is. I'm assuming it's Hirobi. Because, like, he's an upgrade to the Arc because he's going to potentially work for the human. That's how I see. Because, like, its name is Arc 1. I don't know if the name is spoiling anything for you. But the name of the suit is Arc 1. So I don't know if it's a resurrection. I hope not. That's the thing. I don't know who it is.
It could be
Yeah.
Izu for all we know.
It could be.
Like, honestly, like
Yeah.
Zaya and Izu are connected, so where else would
What would
Arc
that
go?
have to do with Arc 1?
Arc's in Zaya.
I guess so. All right. They should just focus on the characters at hand instead of forcing the arc back into the show. Plus, it looks like the person Jin has been talking to is just some random new dude getting introduced 4 episodes before the ending. The final act is playing out too similar to Xaid, so I feel like Izu will die and get resurrected in the final episode. Freaking everyone's gonna do that. Um, let's see. The final act of too similar to Xaid. He's gonna, yeah, resurrected the way Poppy did until the finale airs. I'm gonna stay cautious because everything they've been setting up until now has can still be ruined in a few short weeks. I mean, here's the thing. I definitely feel the X8 influences because yes, it is the same writer, and at times it feels very mad-libbing the same sort of tropes in it, and you can tie direct lines for each character to Xaid, but it definitely feels like he has learned from his Xaid formula. Like, obviously, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Alex, you didn't like it. But
Uh,
a ton of other people did. And either way, it still feels like an improvement on Xaid.
I feel like Xaid had most of its issues in the early game. like, like definitely they like the Bugster did not make much sense. I think that was like pissing me off very early on this series. The Force like level 1 that they would do, like we always knew those fights weren't getting much of anywhere. They did use it like once, but it was just like getting through that hurdle, and it was like pretty decent from like relatively.
I'll give you the one episode that Palad was learning about death, but then they immediately undercut it by having him live. You know what I mean? Like, oh, now you understand the true meaning of having a life. But, you know, you're gonna
That's
die.
X8.
You're not gonna
That's
die.
X8. We're done
Yeah,
with
you're right.
X8.
You're right.
Yeah.
And then he continues, if I sound really negative, it's not because I hated the episode. I actually really enjoyed this episode, but I'm preparing myself for potential letdown by pointing out the problems I'm having with the plot. I mean, I'll take it as it comes. I'm not so far I really like Aruto. I really like Izu. And if they end up happy at the end, I think I'm just gonna be okay with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they've created some solid characters here, and there was some really nice things. Like Aruto's back in his company, which is really nice.
Oh my god, that scene killed me, dude.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. I mean, first off, you got back the oldest people in the boardroom and stood them 6 feet apart or more, um, which was funny on its own. And then Daz was like, "Man, I'm stepping down because it's too hard. I'm gonna pass it to this guy." No, 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 no. This guy. Oh, that was so good. Yeah. Let's move into Andy L's comment. After this, the episode and preview, there is a big concern about the finale. Yes, I will love to see the Jin's mystery. While I already prepared, it will explain in the next movie. I really appreciate that, but 4 episodes for arc, new form, plus Hirobi plus Jin's mystery and conclusions for plot and characters that raise more than one eyebrow. Fingers crossed they stick the landing. I don't remember what anyone's talking about when they're saying Jin met a mystery person. Was I just not paying attention?
That might be a preview thing, because I don't know who they're talking about.
I have no idea.
Also, like, all this like ending stuff, I think that the plot is kind of like a run its thread.
Yeah,
and
we're
like all
basically done here.
Yeah, all we have to do is kind of like have a couple of battles, have a couple fallouts for those battles, and just kind of like just go with like the punches, and then it's gonna like conclude like once the last punch lands. Like that's what I kind of feel is going on here. And honestly, like all the characters that we already have are pretty good. I think like this has definitely been like one of my favorite casts for Kamen Rider, and like as you said, like Arc and Izu. As long as they're happy, I'm probably gonna be happy.
Wait, what is it? Fua and Yaiba need to make it out together. Otherwise, what was even the point?
Honestly, their entire arc could have been to be friends with the Alexa. Like, honestly, I could definitely see that being what happens to those two. But if anything else happens, that would be great.
I mean, we still like, the whole. I guess it's like a film thing where like, if you set up that there's a gun in the first act, and in the second act you like load the gun or whatever, it has to be fired in the third act. So Ames is there, it's waiting around, we got a reminder of it, and now we just need Ames to come back and like be an armed force that fights against a bunch of human. That's the thing as well. We didn't get the whole thing of the opening being recreated, and having them fight a mess of human gear, and I feel like that's on the horizon.
Yeah, we could have some pretty neat fights with this series.
Yeah, but as it stands, like, this episode is pretty much story done. All that's really missing is like the, oh hey, what are they doing now? You know what I mean?
Like, this kind of reminds me of the last episode of like Gaim. Well, the last couple episodes where basically they beat like the overlords. Sorry, spoilers for Gaim, but it's been years. And basically we just have our two riders kind of like duking it out,
Yeah.
Like the last hurrah. Like that's what it kind of feels like here.
That's true. Yeah. Well, all right. Final comment comes from Rajik Rasul, who says, "Finally, Hirobi have a dream, and nope, it's not shed of tear for Jin for going to college. Was hoping Hirobi joined side with the good guys, but his pride got in the way. I don't want Easy to die, but next week said otherwise. Hands down for Kamen Rider Saber having the coolest how he obtained his driver. He got it from the sky and he grabbed. Well, that's not from 01. And the drivers from his friends, strangers, and mystery prophets." I got lost. I like the Arc 1 design. Sorry, Black Hole. Black Hole! Evil, you have to step up your game. Yeah,
what? Black Hole Evil sucked, dude. Like, his freaking armor and like base suit didn't freaking match.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like, that always being on display just made me hate that suit. If they just changed it to completely black and white, you would probably have one of the best villain suits out there.
Absolutely.
Like, how could you not fucking commit like the easiest part of that suit? The fucking rubber underneath it. Alright.
Anyway, yeah. So guys, thank you for your comments. Very thought-provoking. It pushed us, I believe, into like these last few have been like the length of the episode itself. So if you stuck around, thank you. Hey, you know what? Type in the comments if you made it toward the end. I hear some YouTubers do this. Put like chicken. Just type chicken into the comments and see what happens. Yeah, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. If you like this episode, hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear more from us each week. Tell us in the comments down below what you thought about our thoughts about your thoughts about this episode. And as always, there are links in the description down below to how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement by signing petitions, donating money, whatever you do, as long as you do it. It absolutely helps. Guys, thanks for watching. Keep it.
Oh, see you later.
I love this key. This progress key is amazing.
Is the Kamen progress key?
Hell yeah. I had to order something from Amazon Japan, and to make the shipping worth it, I just